Do you know what the most powerful weapon against a manipulator is? It's not anger. It's not arguing. It's something far simpler. All it takes is one sentence, one realization, and their illusion shatters, their control crumbles. Because a narcissist doesn't just crave admiration. They feed on your reactions, your doubts, your belief in their lies. And the moment you stop playing their game, that's when they truly begin to panic. So how do you break free and make sure you're never manipulated again? Watch until the end of this video, because once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. Today, we confront a force both dangerous and destructive. The self-obsessed, the ruthless, the ones we call narcissists. These individuals do not derive their power from true strength, but from manipulation, deception, and control. They suffocate belief, cultivate insecurity, and feed on doubt and fear. But do you know that there is one simple phrase, one undeniable truth, that can make a narcissist fear you forever? Narcissists thrive in shadows, building power not from reality, but from illusion. They wear meticulously crafted masks, constructing false identities designed to manipulate and dominate. And what they rely on most is the belief that you will never see through them, that you will question reality before you ever question them. But the moment you speak up, the moment you say, "I see you for who you really are," everything shifts. The game takes a new turn because at that moment, their greatest fear comes true. Their illusion is shattered, and they are no longer in control. Narcissists survive by controlling perception, not just how others see them, but how you see yourself. They distort reality, gaslight, rewrite history, and twist your emotions until you are left disoriented, doubting your own mind, until you are under their control. Yet beneath all their arrogance and bravado, there's one thing they fear more than anything else: exposure. They fear that one day, someone will pull back the curtain and see the truth. And when you do, when you speak that truth, when you rip off their mask and refuse to play along, that is when they know they have lost. And they will react, of course. A narcissist never accepts defeat easily. They may lash out in fury, accuse you of being the problem, call you crazy, or try to guilt trip you back into submission. But you must remember, this is not power. This is fear. It is the fear of someone who realizes they are no longer in control. Because the moment you say, "I see you," they understand that they can no longer manipulate you. Their tactics, gaslighting, deceit, emotional coercion, lose all effect. And that terrifies them. They don't fear you because you're aggressive. They don't fear you because you fight back. They fear you because you see them. And that is something they cannot handle. Awareness is the greatest weapon against deception, and it is the one thing they can never take from you. Remember, narcissists live in a world of delusions, where they are always the hero, the victim, or the genius, but never the villain. They need you to believe their fabricated narratives, because if you stop believing, their entire illusion collapses. The truth is, they're not as powerful as they want you to think. Their power only exists as long as you accept the false reality they create. But the moment you refuse to participate, when you stand firm and say, "I see what you're doing, and I will not be a part of it," they are left with nothing. That is why they react with rage. That is why they try to drag you back, through guilt, through threats, through charm. Because if you walk away, if you refuse to be manipulated, they lose everything. And nothing terrifies them more than losing control. Does this mean they will change? No, absolutely not. Narcissists do not change, at least not the ones we're talking about. The manipulators, the destroyers, the ones who use people as tools to prop up their own egos. These people lack true self-awareness. They will never say, "You're right. I deceived you. I need to change." No, instead, they will double down. They will rewrite the story, insisting that you are the problem, that you are ungrateful, that you misunderstood them. And that's okay. Let them, because you don't need them to admit the truth. You just need to know it. And once you do, once you truly see them for what they are, they can never control you again. That is why they fear you. Not because you're dangerous, not because you're aggressive, but because you are free. Because once you see behind their mask, once you recognize the pattern, you can never unsee it. And they know this means the end of their power over you. The phrase, "I see you for who you really are," carries more weight than most people realize. On the surface, it is just a sentence. But when spoken to a malignant narcissist, it is a direct threat. Not of violence, not of revenge, but of something far worse in their eyes, the threat of truth. Because a narcissist survives by distorting reality, they construct a carefully curated mask, their only purpose being to manipulate and control. They always present themselves as the victim, even when they're the ones causing harm. They skillfully play the misunderstood genius, the benevolent leader, or the righteous warrior, while leaving behind a trail of destruction. But their power only exists as long as people continue to believe in their illusion. The moment someone sees through them, the entire house of cards begins to collapse. And that is why the words, "I see you for who you really are," hold such power. It is an unmasking, a declaration that I am no longer fooled. Your games, your deception, your manipulation, I see through all of it. And that is the one thing they cannot tolerate. They do not fear confrontation the way most people do. In fact, they thrive on conflict. They do not fear arguments because they know how to twist words, how to exploit confusion, how to manipulate perception until they emerge victorious. What they fear is someone who looks them in the eye and sees the truth, because the truth is the one thing they cannot control. A narcissist's entire existence is a performance. Every relationship, every social interaction, it is all just scenes in a play they orchestrate. They switch roles depending on what they need. Charming when they seek admiration, ruthless when they crave dominance, pitiful when they want sympathy. But no matter what role they play, one thing never changes. They must always be the one controlling the narrative. The moment you take that control away, the moment you stop playing along, the moment you say, "I see you," it's over. And that is why, when you say, "I see you," they feel terrified because at that moment, they lose control of the narrative. And of course, they will react. A narcissist never takes being unmasked lightly. They will call you a liar, a traitor. They will accuse you of being paranoid, delusional. They will shift every bit of blame onto you, insisting that you are the manipulator, the one distorting reality. Why? Because they're desperate. They want to pull you back into their fabricated world. They will try to make you doubt yourself, and that is their true trick. They don't just manipulate how others see them. They want you to question your own instincts, to doubt your own memory and logic. Because if you do, if even for a moment you hesitate, they regain control. But once you truly see them, once you recognize the patterns, the lies, the emotional games, you can never unsee them. And that is what makes you dangerous to them. You're no longer someone they can easily manipulate. Their entire existence revolves around control, and that makes you a threat. They will do everything to silence you, not always through overt aggression, but through insidious tactics meant to erode your credibility. They will spread rumors, plant seeds of doubt in the minds of those around you, even attempt to isolate you. Because for a narcissist, being truly seen and still remaining in their circle is the ultimate danger. If you can see through them, chances are others will too. So what do? You stand firm. You refuse to play their games. You don't argue with them, because an argument is their battlefield. You don't try to convince them of anything, because they already know the truth. They just don't want you to. You simply stand your ground and say with meaning, "I see who you really are." And you do not need them to acknowledge it. You do not need them to confess. Because the moment those words leave your lips, you have already won. The words "you have no power over me" are not just a declaration. They're a breaking of chains, an act of absolute defiance. Power and control are the very lifeblood of a narcissist. Without them, they are nothing. Look at how a narcissist interacts with others. They do not form relationships the way normal people do. They do not seek respect or genuine connection. They seek domination. Every encounter, every exchange is a transaction, a power play, a calculated move to ensure they remain in control. And all of it is fueled by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of losing validation, fear of conflict. But here's the key. Fear only works if you engage with it, if you allow it to dictate your actions. When you stand before them and say, "You have no power over me," you are refusing to participate in their game. You are rejecting the rules they've spent a lifetime perfecting, and that terrifies them. Because when a narcissist realizes they no longer have control over you, they panic. They will scramble to reassert their dominance, yelling, exploiting your vulnerabilities, dredging up the past, anything to get a reaction. Anger, guilt, fear, any response will do. As long as you react, they still hold a grip on you. And that is the key to their power, not physical control, but psychological control. This is never just about logic. It is deeply emotional, profoundly psychological. What they want is for you to start doubting yourself, to second guess, to feel indebted to them, to crave their acceptance, to seek validation from them. And the moment they manipulate this part of you, they have already won. But when you dare to stand firm and say, "You have no power over me," and truly believe it, truly internalize it, everything changes. Because in that moment, their words lose weight, their criticisms no longer shake you, their insults no longer cut deep, and their attempts to make you feel guilty fall flat. This is their greatest fear, becoming irrelevant, losing influence. Even so, they will try to pull you back. Oh, they won't give up easily. A narcissist never surrenders control without a fight. They will shift tactics, adjust their approach, find new ways to get inside your head. They might play the victim, weep, plead, claim you misunderstood them. Or they might turn to others, whisper lies to isolate you. Or they might lash out in rage, pushing psychological boundaries to break you. But none of it matters. Because if you have truly decided that they no longer control you, they are powerless. And that is what frightens them the most. Not your anger, not your defiance, but your indifference. Because indifference is the death of the power they once held over you. So you must stay firm. They will keep testing you, keep pushing, keep trying to drag you back into the old cycle. But once you have broken free, once you have reclaimed yourself, you must never allow them to pull you back in. And when they finally realize that nothing they do can affect you anymore, they will do the one thing they swore they would never do. They will leave. Not because they want to, not because they no longer wish to control you, but because they cannot. And to a narcissist, nothing is more terrifying than someone they can no longer control. A narcissist doesn't just manipulate events, they manipulate emotions. They don't need physical power over you. They need control over your mind, your reactions, your perception of reality. They need to know that with just the right words, a subtle change in tone, or even a carefully timed silence, they can provoke a response from you. Because it is your reactions that sustain them. From the moment you feel anything, anger, fear, guilt, despair, they win. It's not about what you feel, it's that you feel. That is why they provoke you, create chaos only to pose as the one who can fix it. They will twist your words, distort the truth, frame themselves as the victim in the very game they orchestrated. As long as you react, they remain in control. But when you see through it, when you no longer respond the way they expect, their power begins to crumble. And at that moment, what they fear most is not confrontation, not being challenged, but becoming irrelevant, meaningless in your eyes. A narcissist doesn't just crave admiration. They don't just seek control. They need a reaction. A heated argument feeds them as much as praise does, because either way, you're giving them your time, your energy. You're affirming their importance, whether by yelling, crying, or desperately trying to make them understand something. They still win, because in that moment, your world still revolves around them, and they remain at the center of it all. When a narcissist realizes they can no longer control you, they do not simply walk away in quiet defeat. They cannot just accept reality and move on. No, they will fight, they will resist, they will do whatever it takes to reclaim power. Because losing control over you is not just an inconvenience. It is a direct threat to the fragile facade they have spent their entire lives constructing. This is where many struggle, believing that once they see through the manipulation, Once they stop reacting, the battle is over. And that is why, when you say, "I see you," they panic because in that moment, they have lost control of the narrative. And of course, they will react. A narcissist never accepts being unmasked easily. They will call you a liar, a traitor. They will accuse you of being delusional, of being insane. They will shift all blame onto you, insisting that you are the manipulator, that you are the one distorting reality. Why? Because they are desperate. They want to pull you back into their illusion. They will try to make you doubt yourself, and that is the real trick. They do not just manipulate how others perceive them. They manipulate your very perception of yourself. They want you to question your instincts, to doubt your memory and your judgment. Because if you do, if you hesitate for even a moment, they regain control. But once you truly see them, once you recognize the patterns, the lies, the emotional games, you can never unsee them. And that is what makes you dangerous to them. You're no longer an easy target for their manipulation. They will always seek to manipulate, and that is exactly why you become a threat. They will go to great lengths to silence you, not always through overt aggression, but through calculated strategies meant to erode your credibility. They will spread rumors, plant seeds of doubt in the minds of those around you, even attempt to isolate you. Because for a narcissist, it is unacceptable for someone to see them clearly and still remain in their circle. That is the danger. If you can see through them, others might too. So what do? You stand firm. You do not engage in their games. You do not argue with them, because arguments are their battlefield. You do not try to convince them of anything, because they already know the truth. They just do not want you to know it. You simply stand your ground, speak your truth, and mean it. I see who you really are. And you do not need them to acknowledge it. You do not need their confession, because the moment you utter those words, you have already won. The words, "You have no power over me," are not just a statement. They're a breaking of chains, an act of absolute defiance. Power and control are what narcissists live on. Without them, they're nothing. Look at how a narcissist interacts with others. They do not form relationships like normal people. They do not seek respect or genuine connection. They crave domination. Every interaction, every exchange is a transaction, a power play, a carefully crafted maneuver to ensure they remain in control. And they do it all out of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of losing validation, fear of conflict. But here is what matters. Fear only works if you participate in it, if you allow it to dictate your actions. When you stand before them and say, "You have no power over me," you are refusing to play their game. You are rejecting the rules they have spent a lifetime perfecting, and that terrifies them. Because when a narcissist realizes they can no longer control you, they panic. They will lash out, desperately trying to reassert their dominance. Yelling, exploiting your weaknesses, bringing up past wounds to provoke a reaction. Any reaction, whether it is anger, guilt, or fear, as long as you react, they still hold a grip on you. And that is the key to their power, not physical control. This is never just about logic. It is deeply psychological and emotional. What they want is to make you doubt yourself, to make you second guess, to make you feel like you owe them something, like you need their validation, like you must prove your worth to them. And if they can control that part of you, they win. But when you dare to stand firm and say, "You have no power over me," and you truly believe it, everything changes. Because in that moment, their words lose their sting. Their criticism holds no weight. Their insults no longer cut deep, and their attempts to guilt you become meaningless. This is their greatest fear: irrelevance, a loss of influence. Still, they will try to pull you back. Oh, they will not give up easily. A narcissist never surrenders control without a fight. They will change tactics, adjust their approach, find new ways to manipulate. They might play the victim, cry, beg, insist that you have misunderstood them. Or they might turn to others, whispering lies to isolate you. And they might rage, trying to break you through sheer force, through relentless pressure. But none of it matters. Because if you have truly decided that they no longer control you, then they cannot. And That is what terrifies them. Not your anger, not your defiance, but your indifference. Because indifference is the death of the power they once held over you. So you must remain steadfast. They will keep pushing, keep testing you, keep trying to drag you back into the old cycle. But once you have broken free, once you have reclaimed your sense of self, you must never let them pull you back. Because when they finally realize they truly cannot hurt you anymore, that nothing they do can sway you, they will do the one thing they swore they never would. They will leave. Not because they want to, not because they no longer wish to control you, but because they cannot. And to a narcissist, nothing is more terrifying than a person they can no longer manipulate. A narcissist does not just manipulate events, they manipulate emotions. They do not need physical power over you. They need control over your mind, your reactions, your perception of reality. They need to know that with just a few carefully chosen words, a subtle shift in tone, or even a calculated silence, they can provoke a reaction from you. Because it is that reaction that fuels them. The moment you feel any reaction, anger, fear, guilt, despair, they have already won. It is not about what you feel, it is about the fact that you feel. And so, they will provoke, they will create chaos just to position themselves as the one who can resolve it. They will twist your words into what they want to hear, distort reality to paint themselves as the victim in the game they designed. As long as you react, they remain in control. But when you see through it and refuse to engage, their power starts to crumble. And in that moment, what they fear most is not confrontation, not being challenged, but being ignored, being rendered insignificant in your eyes. A narcissist does not just crave admiration. They do not just need control, they need a reaction. A fight can be just as satisfying as praise, because either way, you are investing your energy in them. You are reaffirming their importance, whether you're shouting, crying, or desperately trying to make them understand something. They still win. Because in that moment, your world revolves around them, and they remain the center of everything. When a narcissist realizes they no longer control you, they cannot simply walk away and accept defeat. They can never just acknowledge the truth and move on. No, they will fight, they will resist, and they will do everything they can to regain power. Because losing control over you is not just an inconvenience to them. It is a direct threat to the fragile illusion they have spent their entire life constructing. And this is where many people struggle, thinking that once they have seen through the manipulation, once they have stopped reacting the way the narcissist wants, the battle is over. But the truth is far from that. The real challenge begins when a narcissist realizes they are losing. That's when they escalate. That's when they throw everything they have at you, hoping something will stick. They might explode in fury, hurl accusations at you, distort reality, twisting your words until they become unrecognizable. Or they might go silent, withdraw completely, leaving you wondering if you were too harsh, if you misunderstood, if you were wrong for judging them. Or perhaps they will turn to others, whispering lies, crafting an image of themselves as the victim, ensuring that when you finally speak your truth, no one will believe you. This is how they operate. When they can no longer control you directly, they will seek to control the narrative around you. They will paint you as the problem, the unstable one, the betrayer, the difficult and ungrateful one. And if they can turn people against you, they still win, because isolation is another form of control. This is where many people break, not because they believe the narcissist's lies, but because they are exhausted. Exhausted from fighting, exhausted from constantly proving what they know is true. They just want peace, a break from the endless battles. And so they surrender. They apologize for things they didn't do. They try to explain themselves to people who are never willing to listen. They let the narcissist back in, just a little, just enough to calm the storm, hoping this time will be different. But it won't, because the moment you give them even an inch, they will take everything. The moment you show that their tactics still have even the slightest effect, they will double down. And suddenly, you're back in the same cycle. So you must stand firm, no matter what they say or do. You cannot give them what they want. They want you to break, to feel small, to doubt yourself. They want you to explain, to defend, to justify. Because the moment you do, you're playing their game again. So don't argue, don't justify, don't explain. You don't need to. You know the truth. You see them for what they are. And you don't need their permission to walk away. This is the moment they begin to fear you. Not because they care about you. Not because they regret what they've done. But because they know that without control over you, without an audience to manipulate, they are nothing. And then, after all the manipulation, all the lies, all the mind games, when you finally see it all laid out before you, when the cycle is undeniable, you realize this was never just a misunderstanding. This was never just a character flaw. This is who they are, and they will never change. This is a cycle, a design, a way of existing that has nothing to do with misunderstanding and everything to do with control. And in that moment, you face a choice. You can keep playing their game, keep explaining yourself to someone who never truly wanted to understand you. You can keep reasoning with someone who doesn't care about the truth, keep waiting for an apology that will never come, accountability that will never be taken, a change that will never happen. Or you could do the one thing a narcissist cannot stand. You can walk away, not just physically, but emotionally. You can close the door, not in anger, not in hatred, but in absolute finality, without hesitation. Because the moment you stop engaging, the moment you refuse to be pulled back into their game, you take away the one thing they truly crave: power. That is what it truly means to stand firm. It doesn't mean shouting back. It doesn't mean exposing them to the world in some grand act of revenge. It doesn't mean convincing others of who they really are. It means knowing deep in your core that you owe them nothing, that they have no right to your mind, your emotions, your time. You don't have to fight them to win. You win by not fighting at all. And yes, they will test you, because a narcissist does not accept defeat easily. They will try every tactic, every new manipulation, every method to lure you back in. They will pretend to change, just long enough to make you doubt yourself. They will try kindness, nostalgia, remorse. And when that fails, they will turn to cruelty, rage, threats. They will throw every trick they have at you, desperate, hoping something will break you. But here is what you must understand about resolve. When you truly see them for what they are, when you accept that they will never change, you will never go back. They can play every card in their deck, and it won't matter. Because you're no longer waiting for them to change. You're no longer hoping that one day they will wake up and treat you as you deserve. You have accepted them for what they are. And in that acceptance, you have set yourself free. That is why they fear you. Because they know they will never control you again. They know that no matter what they say or do, you see them now. And once you see the cycle, you will never unsee it. Eventually, they will leave. Not because they want to, not because they no longer desire to own you, control you, keep you under their influence, but because they can't, because there is nothing left for them to take. And that, more than anything, is what terrifies them the most. True freedom is not in winning the argument. It is in no longer needing to take part in it. Today, we have uncovered how manipulators operate. They are not as powerful as they want you to believe. When you recognize your own worth, when you refuse to play by their rules, you take back control. And that is what they fear most. But this story doesn't end here. It belongs to you. Have you ever faced manipulation, been caught in the web of deception? How did you break free? Share your story in the comments, because your experience might be the guiding light someone else needs. If you found value in this, hit the like button so more people can find this message. Share it with those who need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe, because this is just the beginning of deeper, stronger lessons for you. Thank you for spending your time here today. We are here, walking this path with you. And if there's anything you want us to cover in the next video, let us know. Because this journey is about you. See you in the next video.